Senator McCain doesn't want to be seen, hat in hand, with the president whose failed policies he promises to continue for another 4 years. Now, the question for the American people is, do we want to continue George Bush's policies? I think the answer is no.
Senator Obama has been to Iraq once. A little over 2 years ago, he went, and he has never seized the opportunity, except in a hearing, to meet with General Petraeus. My friends, this is about leadership and learning.
Whole new panel joins us. Democrats all to get their version of all these goings-on. In Fort Lauderdale, Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz, a supporter of Hillary Clinton. In Los Angeles with us here is Tanya Acker, Democratic strategist and supporter of Obama. In Washington is Kiki McLean, the senior advisor to Hillary Clinton. And back in L.A., Stephanie Miller, host of Talk Radio's The Stephanie Miller Show and a supporter of Obama. We'll start with Congresswoman Schultz. What do you make of the McClellan book?
Well, it's like a Wag the Dog movie all over again. I mean, I think that he confirmed the suspicions of Democratic leaders across the country and the things that we've been trying to hold the Bush administration accountable for over the last several years. Scott summed it all up in one book. And so I think it validates all the concerns that we have had and that Americans have had and why President Bush has numbers that are in the 30s.
Tanya, will this be used by the Democrats in November?
I think it'll absolutely be used. I mean, the interesting thing here is that there's not a whole lot of new information here. What's surprising is that it's coming from such a Bush insider, such a loyalist. I don't want to repeat what's been said so much on the program today, but the fact that you've got somebody like Scott McClellan repeating the things that Democrats have been saying for years is pretty shocking.
Kiki, what's your reaction?
I got to tell you, what we learned today was bad news, and the fact that he did it was bad news. I think Scott McClellan's probably a decent guy. I don't know what led him to that decision. I think as professionals, those of us who are fortunate to have the adventure and the terrific experience to serve our country by serving our political leaders, this is not how you serve them best. Our presidents, our candidates for high office should be able to trust their confidence is kept so that people in the room can give honest and straightforward advice. I think it sets a bad precedent. Other people have done it, both Republicans and Democrats. I think it's really crummy both times it happens, and I'm sure everybody has a different motivation for it. I had a long discussion. One of my work partners and a longtime colleague, Charlie Baker, has raised this issue on numerous occasions because we both agree this is a bad trend in American politics.
Stephanie, is it good to expose things, or is it betrayal?
Oh, from my point of view, it's nothing but good, Larry. And I love his whole take that everyone knew I was a liar. I can't believe you guys believed my lies. What was the matter with you? Like, he's actually beating up on the press that believed. He's like, wait, this intelligence was clear, manipulated.
It's a bad vibe, isn't it?
Well, through you.
Doesn't Kiki have a point?
About what?
You're turning on someone who didn't do anything wrong to you.
Oh, you know what? There's no more room under the bus in the Bush administration, Larry. Everybody's trying to get out alive. You know what I'm saying? Like, no one wants to take the blame for this disaster.
Congresswoman Schultz, are you going to use it in November?
Oh, I mean, I think we would have used it anyway because all of those issues were out there to start with. Now we just have independent validation and confirmation that that all of the concerns were true. And it's yet another example of why we can't elect a third Bush presidential term. I mean, we've got to make sure that we elect a Democratic president because we cannot do this all over again.
Moving out of politics, the Clinton campaign still suggests, Tanya, that your guy can't win.
I think they're wrong. I think they're wrong for a number of reasons. One, with all due respect to Senator Clinton and the Clinton campaign, they have a very interesting way of deciding what states are important and which ones are not. And they have a very interesting way of counting Obama supporters in some states and ignoring his supporters in other states. Barack Obama won Virginia, for instance, right? He won more white voters in Virginia than Hillary Clinton did. This campaign, Senator Obama has been very successful in bringing new people to the table and in building new electoral alliances. So to suggest that, he can't win because white people don't like him, not true. He can't win because, he doesn't drink his beer right. There have been all sorts of formulations. I just think that they're inaccurate.
Kiki, isn't it bad news if Obama is the nominee to have slashed him so much in this campaign?
Listen, a lot of the things Tanya has said are things other people say. What I would say to you is that we have two great candidates in this primary race. I'm a Democrat, Larry. We've talked about it before. I only get to choose one. I happen to think that Senator Clinton is the better candidate. I think, excuse me, she has a better probability to win in November against John McCain. She carries big states with a broad coalition like Ohio, like Pennsylvania, going into a big race. I think either candidate is going to have to expand the map. I think she has a better chance to expand the map.
Stephanie?
Larry, I feel like Hillary's GPS has malfunctioned. You know how your GPS is recalculating route. The road to the White House goes through Pennsylvania, goes through Ohio, and now apparently it goes through Puerto Rico, recalculating route. It's, it's like what Tanya is saying. It's for some reason none of the states that Barack Obama has won matters for some reason. This is how we pick a nominee, Larry, is through the delegate count, and Barack Obama has won.
Quick programming, though. CNN will have Decision Day coverage of that important. Congresswoman Schultz, what's going to happen at that Rules Committee meeting Saturday?
Well, I think what will almost for sure happen is that the Democratic National Committee's Rules and Bylaws Committee will vote to seat Florida's delegation based on the votes that were cast on January 29th, because I think that's what's become abundantly clear, fortunately, to everyone involved in this now, is that the Democratic nominee has to be selected by voters in all 50 states, and it can't just be a made-up result. We can't seat our delegation based on a formula picked out of the air. There were votes cast on the 29th. The voters in Florida turned out in record numbers, and they didn't break the rules, so they shouldn't be penalized. The question is whether or not they'll seat our full delegation, which I strongly advocate, as do the vast majority of Floridians and Democratic leaders in Florida, or whether they'll give us half a vote but seat our full delegation. And
Tanya,
I just don't think it would be serving us well going into November if they do anything short of seating our full delegation.
Tanya, what do you think?
We have to put this process in context. Nobody wants votes not to count. The reason why Florida and Michigan are not being counted now is because they broke the rules. All of the candidates said they weren't going to campaign there, and it was understood that those votes were not going to be counted. Hillary Clinton said in November, or at least last fall, when she was asked why she kept her name on the Michigan ballot, she said, "We all know that the results of this election they're having are not going to count for anything." She said that. And then when she was no longer the front runner, we started to re-engage the conversation. I think that, we should allow, it would be nice to be able to have all of these voices heard. We certainly want to have people participating in this process. It is against the rules to seat those delegations. They violated the rules. All the candidates agreed to this.
Kiki, what's your read?
The candidates agreed not to campaign in Florida. That's what they signed on originally. Folks should also understand that for Democrats and Democratic voters in Florida, it was a Republican state legislature that set that calendar. The voters and the Democrats of Florida did not break the rules. And while I understand some of the concerns Tanya has, Senator Clinton has been an absolute advocate for having these votes counted. It wouldn't be just nice. It's the right thing to do. Democrats will not have a victory in November if we don't have Michigan and Florida at the table with us in this process.
Ridiculous.
And
Barack
that's just critical. I think when it comes to Michigan, and I think when it comes to having a state as large as Florida, these are important states, and I think we've got to be the party that represents getting these voters into the process.
Kiki, we're running short on time. Stephanie?
Larry, I agree with Tanya. Is some of the audio, I hope they will play at that, which I played on my radio show, is Hillary Clinton saying this will not count. I think we all know this will not count. Larry, there's no way you can go back and do. I hope that they will use the audio book of Terry McAuliffe's book, where he said rules are rules when he was the DNC chair and said
Larry,
we will have chaos if we count these delegates.
I've run short on time here, but I thank you all very much. I promise to do a lot more on this. Of course we will.
Thanks.